Hi, my name is Neuron. I play Aaron Cloudspark, and welcome to Heroes of Aeowe.
Water sloshes at the boats. A paragon of strength within a consistent flow. The river of the city of Maru creates a pathwards to the sea. And you guys, as you stand on the deck of the boat, stare out at the coming journey ahead of you. You have agreed to go to the Siri Gulch in the western edge of the world. Or was it west? For Koi has not specified where in the world you are going. He's shown you maps and charts. But when you look, you realize you are headed into a dangerous part of the world where recently magic and mystery had torn the world asunder. And that would be northeast. Siri Gulch, a place of depth and canyons. Not death as in you leave the mortal life, but depth like the deepness of the vast ocean you now cross. A journey which takes approximately about 6 weeks by the fastest ship's reckoning. And during this time, what do you do?
Aeowe takes out some cards and dice, offers anyone to play with her during the long trip.
You ain't got nothing better to do.
Anyone else interested in joining Aeowe?
Sure, Yi-sang will join Howie.
So, Aaron and Yusong, anything exciting going on, or just looking forward to playing some cards?
Well, I'm not the best at card games, but I can certainly try.
I'm not either. We'll just pretend we know the rules for solitaire. If that even is a multi-person game. I'm not sure.
No, I think by the very name of it, it is not a multi-person game. It wouldn't be called Solitaire if it was multi-person.
Think so?
Yeah.
What about... Oh well, we'll figure it out. We'll just all play as a team.
52 card pickup.
As you are all sitting playing cards, you have been offered barrels as seats, and for a table, a spool which holds rope that is used on the ships. Koi walks over with his blue cape fluttering behind him, clearly signifying his royal status. He looks down at the game you're playing and says, "Can I join?"
Yes, we're trying to play solitaire, but we're all working together since all three of us need each other's help to figure this game out.
Koi grins. Go ahead.
I still think that's a bad idea, but okay, whatever.
You think you could figure out the game by yourself, Aaron?
I don't know. I might be able to figure it out. What does Aaron need to roll to figure out solitaire?
That's a good question because DM Analai outside the game says that solitaire does not exist within this world. But
Whoops. Okay. So whatever game they're playing.
it's called Royals and Regals. And it's about basically taking the champion card of the other player. How it works? Give me a roll for, let's see here, sleight of hand. Because in this case, you're using your hands a lot and it has to be quick. Okay.
Okay, not so good.
Yeah, Howie rolled a 4 and then I accidentally rolled again and got a 2.
Yeah, I got an 8, so I actually did better than you.
You guys are just no good at this game. Let me teach you how to play. And the game is called Regals and Royals, as mentioned earlier. He slaps down his cards and he says, "You are no good at having good cards. You need a good hand that are made well. 2 Ciento versions are going to fall apart when you play repeatedly. And Regals and Royals is where you take the game here and you lay out your cards. Battle formation wise, he demonstrates with numerical value cards, as in 1 to 10. These are your troop units, he says. These are your kings or your queens. In order to win the game, you must take the other kings or queens of the other players by convincing the loyalty of their troop to come over to your side by using your troops and defeating using a higher number. So if it's say I have a 10, he says, and he lays down the 10 card. You, he points to Howie, might have a 8 card. I win because I've got a higher number than you. It's a game of chance, he says. And no, it's not an illegal thing. We don't gamble for money, so I think we'll be fine. He says, though, one of the things my sailors and I do on these trips with Regals and Royals is determine who's going to be doing the dishes on the ship. Yes, a prince is not above doing the dishes, he says, grinning roguishly. And with that, he teaches you how to play. He sits back after a while because he doesn't want to ace you all. Because if you know anything about Koi, Koi is a scholar, an adventurer, swordsman, and somebody who does not want to be lording over others. But he seems to still have that air about him.
Okay, I still don't think I know how this works. I'm probably gonna end up doing dishes, which is gonna be bad because I've never done dishes. So what? How do you do dishes? You're gonna have to explain that one to me.
Koi looks intensely at you. And he says, you don't know how to do dishes? I am 10 ranks maybe above you in society when we're talking on my kingdom. And you don't know how to do dishes. He grins. That's a first. And what he does is he actually ends up purposely losing the game along with you. So you sing and saying, take, in terms of Howie, take the winning cards and from the next few rounds. And so he escorts you down to the hole where they have the dishes and a bunch of warm soapy water. It's just basically boiled seawater, and they use it to do the dishes. And he says, here, what you're gonna do. He hands you a brush, kind of a bristly brush, and he hands you some soap. He says, I'm going to dry. You are going to scrub them. Any flecks of food, dirt, or debris on those, this dish needs to be scrubbed. Give it some vigor, he says. That he rolls up his sleeves, has taken off his cloak, and he's just wearing like a leather jerkin and a leather armor outer thing. Probably, and he kind of looks at you and says, you're not really wearing that much, so it will make it kind of easy for you, he says. He grins.
Yeah. Okay. You don't have a dog to lick this off? I mean,
My good friend, I don't think dogs' mouths are the cleanest places. They do eat raw meat when we cook ours. And with that, he sets to drying the dishes, inspecting you and walking through how to clean a plate, a fork, or some other thing, depending on what type of dish is coming out of the warm soapy water that you have.
I could just use magic to clean all these.
oh,
I
sure. Now she says that.
Sorry. I guess I should have mentioned it sooner, but I can do that.
Yeah, I could set fire to them. Would that help?
No,
Koi looks at you all like, really, guys? And
He's
also,
saying, what should we do?
Well, I think we should clean up the dishes with magic if the crew desires so. I mean, it is more efficient to do so.
Koi, do we have your permission to use magic to clean the dishes.
As long as nothing breaks, and as long as nobody, especially the cook, he looks at a younger man who has blonde hair, very, very neat apron, and the young man waves and he says, "Well, that's fine, that's fine. Just make sure you put everything away where it's supposed to go." He shows you where things go in the galley. And then he steps out of the room to talk to Koi about some sort of matter related to when they land.
Yeah, see, you should be really good at this because you're made out of water.
You do have a point there. So what do you think we can expect when we land, you guys?
You don't want to ask me that question. Last expedition I attended, it went a bit sideways.
Likewise.
I hope that no one comes out of the blue and attack us right when we land.
Oh, gee, don't say that.
Well, dishes are looking pretty good. How he looks at what she's washed and they're ready to be put away. She looks at the others. I hope you remember where they go, 'cause I don't.
Oh, sure. Now you say that. You guys need to learn about timing.
I mean, I was pretty efficient cleaning these dishes, was I not?
Yes, but you only mentioned it after I had already started learning how to do it the other way.
Yeah, you do have a point. However,
And
I
she
think
just mentioned an ambush before we even get to the place.
that's true. That is very true. Anyways, let's see how close we are to getting where we're going.
The water sloshes against the side of the boat as you all look to the grand glowing sunset of the sky. It has been almost 6 weeks of constant sailing, no stops, no interference even strangely from pirates, or any seafaring vessels for that matter. Just the deep, deep blue of an undulating, forever changing landscape of water, crashing and hissing against the sides of the bows. The 2 ships with the research equipment, your horses, and other resupplies have moored up once every week to take account of said supplies, change off crew members, and as well to give you some new fellows and ladies to implement your interest in getting to know a variety of different cultures, peoples, and lands. Koi even tells you the story of how his family went on their first voyage and how many times their father, the High King, even had to rescue them out of the water. Some say he was the most amazing swimmer on the crew. Even the sailors themselves could not rival his expertise. But finally, after a very long, sloshing, constant in and out of storms and fighting the waves, you find yourself in a land both foreign and intriguing. Deep trees of green, vines and sunlight penetrate. A landscape where you land. You land on a coastline, no town in sight, except for a small research camp. Water trickles through the under trees, moist, and the air is very steamy and warm. But you do see lots of colorful birds and some creatures that you might have that you might have or never heard of, specifically called Muscanthus koalas, strange fluffy creatures. Koi jumps off the ship as the rowboat where you have pulled into the small inlet. Seems to be that we're finally here, he says. After about 3 weeks' ride, we should be there, he says. And I know that sounds long, but seriously, we have to catalog all the new scientific discoveries that are being made at this time, he says.
Yeah, well, I appreciate this a lot more than the freaking boat. This is more my kind of speed here.
Did you say 3 weeks?
I did, Koi says. He checks a compass and what looks like the beginnings of what later would become clocks. 3 weeks, to be precise, he says. Give or take, according to my astronomical calculations, he says. But is that something wrong with that? We have not encountered any resistance thus far, he says.
Oh no, it's wonderful. I just wasn't expecting 3 weeks to be out here.
In the forest with bugs, he says.
Yeah, but at least I don't have any blood they would want. So, have that going for me.
He laughs.
Wait, you don't have blood?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway.
Well, he says, let's be on it. So, he has his men ferry the horses over. The horses have fared quite well on this journey. They're quite a hardy breed. And he gives you each your horse, and he says, strangely enough, these horses don't seem to sense anything wrong with the place. Last time I was here, there was an expedition my brother had to lead with his warrior division in order to protect us. The jungle was full of the blood alchemists, he said. So,
Yeah, no, I don't think I'm gonna be riding the horse.
suit yourself. We go faster though, he says. You'll have to run to keep up.
Yeah, no, I'll just be the horse. Thank you very much.
He grins at that. That's right, I forgot about that. And with that,
Yeah,
he...
and he's now a horse. And I have the stat block for horse, and just in case something happens.
you all traverse. You get 1.5 weeks into your trip, and suddenly the trees break to reveal a large stone town. Hidden away and sequestered from the world, this particular place is located about a week and a half from the Siri Gulch at the north part of the map here, where that white mountain is. There is particularly a small town flanked against and hidden in between 2 mountain peaks which split apart. Specifically, they are called the Arstang Peaks. Arstang. Arstang Peaks. And the town amongst these is called Nimona. And the town is a stone structured fortress of a variety of tiers, specifically levels. Homes with slate or tile roofs of bright red, and cozy, flowing clear blue water through the middle of the city, supporting a river and quite the harbor bustle. Limona has towers from every which way you look. And what's most surprising is that old bridges are made out of ships. And the townspeople are bustling about, chatting away when you step inside. What do y'all want to do?
Well, I'm gonna come out of horse form.
Well, first, I'm surprised Aaron's able to turn into a horse. But I say we explore the city, collect supplies we need, and look for whatever we're here to do. Get some adventure going.
Yeah, I guess so. Aaron's a little downhearted because they just came from lush forest and now they're in the middle of another city again.
So, Koi, remind me, what do you want us to do in this city?
We're here to get supplies, and after that, I am here to meet an old friend of mine. He says, you can come. I did ask you and hire you on as my defenders and bodyguards. So, where we're gonna head is an inn up the way. And he points to one of the tall towers in the distance. He does look at all of you and he says, there's rumors about the invasion, he says, and we need to avoid it at all costs. Specifically, it has to do with the invasion of the Blood Alchemists. But there's also something they've started digging up, a metal machine. So big that we've never seen anything of the likes before, even in our recorded annals of my father's childhood, he says. And with that, he leads you to a small, cozy, towered inn. You climb hundreds of flights of stairs, but you finally come into a cozy lobby where the windows look like this, and it looks like a coffee shop. Inside is a very well-dressed employee. He's wearing a blue coat, and he's got a blue hat, that kind of like a floppy hood almost. And he's got a little bow tie with like an elegant, suave kind of style. What may I do for madams and sirs? He says. Or is it mademoiselle? I am not sure, he says. He looks at Koi. Koi puts his hands on his hips and says, well, I'll be, he says. It's you. What are you doing here, Prince Castava? The man says, looking him up and down. Much older you are than when I last saw you, he says. Oh. And he looks at the crew, at you. What are these fine folks doing with you?
Something about an expedition, a giant machine, and various other things. I don't remember. It's a long story.
Koi introduces you. This is Thatcher, he says. Thatcher, proprietor of Thatcher's Goods, Wares, Inns, Supplies, Expeditions, and you name it, he's got it. Thatcher, these are my friends. Yisang, Aaron, and Howie. He smiles.
Yeah, how you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Thatcher grins. Ah, Castava. These people are much welcome in my city and in this place, he says. Now, let me show you all the research I have. And he unfolds a map on the table of the Siri Gulch, specifically the depths of the Siri Gulch. And he says, we found it. We found what you're after, Castava. It's this. And he circles in large red ink a section of the Siri Gulch. Remember, the Siri Gulch is 500 miles long. And it's a huge fissure, as I've mentioned, almost 6 miles down at some points, even closer to 11 or 12. We have to descend carefully, very carefully. That is timing, timing. That it is, he says. Timing is everything. Everything in getting down there. Reason why? That metal that we've been finding, the scraps of that you've mentioned from some sort of explosion in your letter. That thing is down there. Mentioned in the archival works from the Auraced's invasion. Koi's eyes light up. My father will want to know of this. It's been 400 years. And with that, he crosses his arms and leans up against the wall and takes a deep breath. We're about to make the discovery of a lifetime, which might shift the war in our favor, he says. A war in the shadows thus waged this far should be brought for a war in the present and honorably dealt with, he says. He then Says, what we're looking at, he says to you all, is remnants of the Warforged invasion. 400 years ago, my father, as a young man, was the one who helped turn the tide on that. We were all kids back then, most of us at least. I was a young adult at the time. I know I look very long-lived. All of us people, especially my siblings, are, he says. But what the point is that that last piece to the Warforged invasion might help us solve how to turn the Orcids' weapons against themselves. And with that, he motions for you all to take a look. And he says, we'll be getting out there in a week and a half. Take your time to stay the night really quick, because tomorrow we leave bright and early. We must get to the edge of the gulch by sundown of next week, he says. That you are given bedrooms such as this fine establishment right here, with lots of windows since it is a tower, and a cozy place to sleep. What do y'all want to
Ugh.
do?
You don't have one with a tree in it, do you?
The gentleman Thatcher, to be precise, looks at you. Strange that you would choose that it is, he says. But there's a top of the tower you could sleep on. It's flat enough.
Yeah, okay. Fresh air is more of a preferable. Thanks.
I have a question. What happens if we don't get there by sundown?
Koi looks at you all. The aura said strike, he said. Intensely, it seems to be. His eyes grow very, very, very dark. Usually they're bright amberish orange colored. In this case, though, they grow almost a deep reddish brown. They will strike and take our people who are at work there for their own nefarious plans, he says. It seems to be we will end up having a fight on our hands if we don't get there in time. With that, he sits in a chair and stares out at the proprietor's main area. As I said, it looks like a coffee shop. Get some rest, because we need to get there fast. As you all go to sleep, meanwhile, deep within the rocks of a long, caved-in part of the canyon, a metal hand punches out of the rock. Talon, what do you do?
Okay, at this point, is it just my hand that is punctured through the rock, or can I see and hear what's going on around me?
You can hear silence. That's about it. And so your hand's probably the only thing that's above the rocks.
Am I aware of the passage of time?
Not yet. You only think it's been a few minutes, few ticks, as they'd say in this world.
Then I will start digging my way out and looking for my bladed tonfa as my first priority.
Okay. Mission, mission, mission. You hear in the background of your mind. Mission. And as you do dig yourself out, looking for your bladed tonfa, the rocks part, tumble away. It is sandstone, so it's rather easy for you to punch through it. It's rather soft rock. And what you find is you see the moon, specifically not one, but two moons hanging in the sky. Purple one named Free, and a yellow one named Vrel. Free and Vrel shine down on you with the moon light of a planet that has two of them. And you see to your amazement the heavenly bodies, thousands upon billions of stars in the night sky. And you look up to see no recollection of a battlefield or anything like that. Just rock, red rock, under a moon. Your Tonfa is nearby.
Psst, Aaron. Aaron, wake up.
What? I'm technically still awake. I just trance. I don't go to sleep. What?
Okay, I think we should do something. Let's get Yisang and maybe see what Koi has to say.
About what?
Oh, there's a big red rock outside. I think it's time to get off of this area and do some exploring.
A low vibrating fills the air. If something had happened, you guys are starting to get inklings of something not right within it, the air specifically. And you hear a goes up a pitch, and it starts low, but the sound rises to a high screeching crescendo, and everything goes quiet again. Suddenly, a burst of light, and you see this too, Talon. A burst of white light blasts through the horizon, and you see something penetrate the darkness. So, where you guys, as in Howie, Yisang, and Aaron, are, you see a firework size of bright white light shoot up in the distance and burst across the sky. Well, that noise grows intense, and at the pinnacle the white lights burst across the starry night. You hear it screech into a large and powerful burst of some inaudible noise that just sounds like A440, as in perfect pitch tuning when people do an orchestra check, or when musicians check their instruments. It seems like a perfectly clear tone that turns into a screech as a little light bursts across the sky. Koi bursts into your tower exterior, Aaron, as you're sleeping on the roof. And he says, "It's time to go. Let's leave." And you see a flash of his blue cape. This seems to have an weird iridescent glow to it, kind of like algae on the surface of the ocean. He bangs on your door, Yasang, and he bangs on your door. "Howie, we need to go, now," he says.
Is there something wrong?
"There is. They got to it before us," he says. "I didn't even know they'd act this fast." He says, "We're under attack. Come on."
Attack. Oh, jeez. All right.
Aaron,
Howie,
go ahead. You first.
Howie had suspected they should have left sooner and gone straight to the destination, but she won't say that to Koi, but she'll keep it in the back of her mind. Like, oh.
Meanwhile, as you guys scramble to get your gear together, Talon, you finally haul yourself out of the rock, finding your Tonfa. What you realize is above you bursts of white light, color almost, well, white is not really more of a color, it's a combination of colors, but light cascades across the sky in shimmering, but also burst, and your audio and your vision sensors come online. What do you do?
This light is something that I'm not I'm not otherwise accustomed to.
No, you've never seen anything like it.
And the terrain around me has changed drastically since the last time I was above ground.
Correct.
Then I start making my way toward the light.
It seems to be in the sky. So you're walking along a canyon, and at this point in the canyon, it's about 6 miles down. So there's 6 miles of sheer rock above you, and the sky seems like a very distant thing indeed.
So then I basically have two choices of which way to head out of the canyon.
Hmm.
Which one takes me to what I believe to be Aura said controlled territory?
Good question. You see a campfire approximately about it. For your vision sensors, it's probably about 120 feet off.
In that case, I will approach stealthily.
Okay, roll for stealth, please.
That would be a 21.
Okay. Despite your metal frame, you move as lightly and silently as a large shade cat within the reaches of the Kawawe world. And as you do so, in terms of Aowa's name back then, because your sensors start registering these strange names and phenomena. Not Aeowe, Aeowe, Aeowe. There seems to be mention of a Kawawe. Why Kawawe, not Aeowe? Your sensors seem to wonder. But the campfire is manned by two people dressed in blue uniforms with tan pants and their funky looking hats on their heads. Same sort of floppy hat as I mentioned that Thrasher was wearing. Thrasher, sorry. Thrasher and these guys are from the Ark Society. You don't know that, but for listeners' sake, they are Ark Society members. Part of Koi's band. And as they sit there, they're singing an old folk tale about a moon, apparently the moon Vree or Vrel, and her lover. And they dance together in the moonlight, and they're singing quite well. They have good voices. And as you approach, you can hear the crackling of the fire and jovialness. The bright lights suddenly stop them, though, in their singing. It's time, one says, and they rush for what looks like swords, spears, and shields, and all sorts of manner of weapons like that, leaned up against logs and rocks in the canyon, of the canyon floor. And they start clambering up this wooden structure that seems to go up the side of the side of the canyon. Take no notice of you.
And it's just the two of them in this camp, so it's just a
Yep.
small little encampment then, it's just the two of them. What
Yep.
does this wooden structure look like?
A large flight of stairs up the side of the canyon wall. Well built, like scaffolding. And you can see covered in what looks like rock that dripped and turned solid, like stalactites or stalagmites. You see the metal form of one of your brethren kind of like fossilized into the wall with the rock.
Can I make an insight check on that to try to determine how long he's been there to become fossilized? That would be a 13.
Due to the fact that your time registration hasn't come online yet, it doesn't seem to tell you, but you can tell it's been a very long time because what isn't fossilized of him, or like what isn't I guess you could say rockified in a certain sense, has rusted beyond recognition of your classic armor, and you thought you didn't rust, but in this case it's been so long it has. And the metal sheets and pieces sticking out reveal a dire truth that whoever was inside of there is long dead.
Well, they are not used to, therefore their Warforged is inferior. I am going to rummage through the camp real quick just to kind of survey what kind of gear and supplies they have, see if I can determine their purpose.
You find pickaxes, chisels, and give me a history check, please.
That would be a crit fail. I have a 2.
Oh dear. Well, in this case, your time, your registration of what things are doesn't come online other than the fact you are holding a shovel. Yeah. You're looking at a shovel, but your sensors don't register it's a shovel. It's just to you a big oversized spoon.
I've been asleep for a little while. Give me a break. Okay, so they are obviously not out here to be some type of military contingent. So I am going to go ahead and start making my way up the stairs as stealthily as I can.
Thank you for listening to Heroes of Aeowe. Dungeon Mastery by Annalai Defenif. Howie Golkus, played by Sanguine. Jun Yi Song, played by Daniel. Aaron Cloudspark, played by myself, Neuron. Talon, played by Mike. Music provided by Tim Galvin.